Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the program manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat. But before we begin, I'd like to quickly review two items: our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. This session is being recorded and will be available on demand through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I will be sharing the link in the chat for our on-demand content. And if you have not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to have access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now. And if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us through social media or on our website. Which brings us to today's session. Today is the second session of the Startup Success Blueprint series. I'm going to bring in our speaker here for today, Luca. Hey, Luca, welcome back.
Hi, Alexia. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you again so much for hosting the series with the Reactor. We're very excited for day 2. And yeah, take it away.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hello, guys. Nice to see all of you again. And for people that are first time here, welcome. Today, we'll talk about Startup Success Blueprint and developing your MVP. Before we go into more details, I just want to know more about where people are from today. Where are you calling from? I see Morteza from Seattle. Very nice, very nice. Washington. Okay, cool. Vancouver, very nice. Very nice, cool, cool. If you have any more any more countries, any more cities that you are calling from, please let me know in the chat. That's very exciting. We had a lot of interest for this event. Vasily says he's from Redmond. I think amazing, amazing. Calling from the Microsoft HQ. uh, cool. So let me start with a little bit with the idea of this episode of this series, Startup Success Blueprint. I said it also the first time. California, Central. Thank you, Central, that you're listening to me today. So the idea of this uh, series, it came after a conversation that I had with a professor who is a friend of mine. He's a professor at the University of Toronto, and we talked about what is the rule book, what is the playbook of creating a startup. He's an economics professor, entrepreneurship professor, and when I asked him that question, he said, "Luca, there is no playbook to create a startup." So I was very interested in that sentence and in that response, because usually everything in life, mostly everything at least, has a playbook, has a rule book. So you have to follow some kind of rules, and then when you follow those rules, you have at least a higher chance of succeeding. For example, if you want to become a doctor, you need to go through an undergraduate here in North America that is a biochemistry, biology, or pre-med, and then you have to take the MCAT to go into the med school, and then after the med school you need to do residency, etc., etc. So that's like you have the steps to become a doctor. But in order to become a successful entrepreneur and have a successful startup, that's not the case, because things can go completely wrong, things can go completely right since the beginning. It's a lot of different uh, perspectives and a lot of different things that can happen, right? So with that reason, I tried to create some content to show you guys what are some of the steps that you need to take, at least to minimize the risk, right? And to figure out how you can create a successful startup. The first episode that we had, we talked about how to create, how to go from ideas to an actual clarity, to have a clarity of what you want to build. And if you haven't seen that episode, please check it out on my series on YouTube at the Microsoft Reactor. That was amazing. We had a lot of very, very good feedback. And today we're going to talk about Okay, let's say that you have that idea, you chose the idea, you already like focus on what you want to build. Now let's build the MVP. Agenda for today is going to be a self introduction of me, Microsoft for startups, and a lot of other interesting stuff about the MVP, starting from the ideas and going to what you want to build, and the distinction between MVP, prototype, and also POC that we call it in the industry. But let's start with the first thing. Who am I? Who are you talking to? So, my name is Luca. I am the co-founder and CEO of Dochair Health. Dochair Health is a large language model for family physicians. We're trying to automate and to save them time, but automate a lot of their workflow, a lot of their tasks, but also helping them make it better, diagnosing and making better clinical decisions. We started this company after the burnout that happened in my family as a family physician. And from that, we have been working with a lot of clinics and a lot of hospitals. I won the first prize in the Microsoft pitch competition. And also, I am just awarded as a Young Entrepreneur of the Year here in Canada. I'm from Toronto, Canada. Before we go into content and what we're going to talk about today, I really wanted a chance to talk about the Founders Hub, the Microsoft for Startups Founders Hub, which is an amazing opportunity for all of you to to develop from an idea stage up to, I don't know, growth stage, Series A, Series B, Series C, and even IPO, right? That's what the Founders Hub is about. It helped us a lot. It helped us with Azure credits with the cloud. It helped out a lot with a lot of experts in the AI industry, in Gen AI, which we needed a little bit of that technical mentorship in a sense, right? So if you really are looking for stuff like that, for some free stuff from different platforms, like even OpenAI is there, right? Please check out Founders Hub and register it because it's an amazing opportunity. I use it myself, and I am the first person that I can advocate for it, right? Now let's go into more details about what we're going to talk about today. What is the MVP, minimum viable product, and then the POC, and then a prototype? What is the difference? Now, when we're talking about proof of concept and prototype, these are terms that we use mostly in the corporate world, in the tech world, right? POCs is something that has some kind of functionality. It's way more advanced than just a simple, I don't know, landing page, for example, or a simple Google form or everything like that. And the prototype, it's very similar to what you can launch in the market. So when you say prototype, you say, for example, oh, I launched a beta. That's pretty much what you launch. It's a prototype. It's a very good. Uh, it's a very good set. It gives you a very good sense of the platform with all these features and all these functionalities. But before you go there, you have to go by the first step, which is the minimum viable product, the MVP. Now, when we talk about MVPs, we think about a perfect thing, a perfect product, and a perfect, I don't know, features and everything like that. You have heard a lot of this term, especially from the VCs, from the venture capitalists, from investors, from mentors maybe that you might have. Oh, you should build an MVP. You should build an MVP. Now, to build the perfect MVP, you need to figure out first of all what they're going to build. Like, what and is it worth it to build it? We had this kind of questions the first time that we did in the first series, the first episode. Uh, MVP, it just again, it's just a term. I've heard people, I've heard founders that have their MVPs. We'll talk a little bit after it, but about it. But one of my friends, for example, closed 10 clients and an investment an investment round of $500,000, if I'm not mistaken, just with a Google form, and that was his MVP, right? So, in order to create the perfect MVP, actually the question should be how good or how perfect was your customer discovery phase? Do you understand what you want to build? Do you understand what people want, right? I'm still I know I mentioned it also the first episode, but the customer discovery is the main, in my opinion, the most important thing of a startup. When you talk to customers, when you talk to people that might like your product or might use your product, or even better, might pay for your product, this is where you actually find some value. And That's pretty much why why you should create the MVP after you understand very well what people want and what people are actually uh, suffering from, what challenges, what problems they're suffering from. So the MVP development, basically framework or rule book, as I said before, is you find a problem, you get obsessed with the problem, you find a solution to it. The solution might be might have 10 solutions. You have to focus on one solution. You build an MVP, and then you give the MVP to customers, potential buyers, call it whatever you want. You needed to put it in front of people. This is a this is an interesting this is an interesting painting that I drawing that I saw on Google actually the other day, and I wanted to share it with you guys. You see, that's how actually MVP is. You don't start. It's not like an, it's not as logically as rational to explain it, right? It's not okay. You build the tires, and then from the tires you build the car. It actually start from building a skateboard and then going to the car. So you have to try a lot of things before it actually works. That's why the first MVP and the first thing that you build about the product shouldn't be your concern in the beginning. The concern should be what people want, like what people will like. Because imagine this situation: if you build a very bad product, a very bad landing page, a crappy uh, web app, and people love it, and actually not only they love it, but also they maybe even give you some letter of intents that they will pay for it, you're going to be successful. That's for sure, right? Because you found that problem solution fit, as they call it in the startup world, right? uh, so try to create, and actually this is for all the tech people that are out there, which are very detail focused and very perfectionists. I've seen this with a lot with my co-founder. I'm not the tech person. I studied. My background is in science, in pure science. So he is actually my co-founder is a tech guy of the team, and he's very perfectionist. And in the beginning, I had a little bit of trouble to understand, to talk to him about this, right? But when we tried it out and when we failed, we understood that, you know what, that's the actual way to go play it. So don't focus a lot on the details in the beginning. It's an MVP. It's not a prototype. It's not a proof of concept that you build in, I don't know, in big companies. So I talked about the perfect MVP, but MVP is not perfect. That's like the paradox of the words. So four keys that you have to consider before building your MVP is to validate. Again, as I said, keep it minimal. Listen to feedback, and is it even worth building? Now, this question, it's I personally don't agree too much with this question, but I put it there because there's a lot of perspectives here. Like when I say is it even worth building it, I don't want you to think to give up about the startup about the problem that you faced, but it's more about excuse me, it's more about the do we need to iterate? Do we need to pivot? Right? I believe that every problem that we come up with, it's there are valid problems. There are valid problems. Now it's a more a philosophical question. Is it worth? Is this problem as big enough, or is it? I don't know. Is it so emotional for you that you whatever it takes you would still build it? Right. These are more philosophical questions, but I believe every problem that we come up with when we are obsessed with a problem. That's a valid point, right? Now the solution might be the wrong thing, right? How you build it, what are you building, right? So when I say is it even worth building it, I mean, can we just shift it a little bit? Can we, based on the feedback, based on what we got, and based on your intuition as a founder, maybe we should try to work on something else, which sees the which sees the problem in a different perspective, right? Uh, so that's that's an interesting thing that you should think about right now. I have a question. I'll answer questions after, but since I have it here on the screen, I'm going to answer it right now. If my MVP is not a good product, is is not going to discourage my customer to discontinue working with me and give up? Morteza, that's a good question. So basically, if your MVP is bad, maybe the customers are not going to even look at you. Now, might be somehow a reality in industries like healthcare, which I was on, or legal industry, right? With law or industries that are very particular, but or maybe biotech, which needs a lot of regulation. That's a different story. What I wanted to focus more in this session or in this series is more about the software side of things. It might be true, it might be true, but I still would say try it out like that because if they get discouraged about what you're building or about your vision or about what when you talk to them, right? Maybe the solution that you found it's not that I told I said it also last time the hairs on fire uh, solution to a solution to the hairs on fire problem, right? Maybe you should figure out a little bit how to tweak it and maybe find another way. And this comes with discussion. If you go to a doctor, in my case, if you go to a physician with a product with an MVP which is crappy, at least you have something, right? You are not talking in air like they listen all the time and people like, oh yeah, I'm building this, I'm building that, I'm building that. You go with them and I say, this is in very low cost, very low ability from us to build. Now, if you I don't know, if you become part of our board or if you I don't know, if you try it out and if you help us, maybe we're gonna build something even better than this, even bigger than this, and it can solve you way more problems than what we're trying to solve, right? It's a discussion point of view. That's why in this particular industries like healthcare, I usually advise founders to go in person and to do some things manually and meet the customers and meet the end user basically because it's very important to get that first time feedback. Yeah, thank you, Marteza, for the question. We'll answer more questions after, guys. Don't worry about it. I'll leave some time for that. Now, what are the steps building to your MVP? So basically, how uh, going back with this, like explain it a little bit more, at least, right? The step one is validating your market. It's very straightforward, right? As I said, you have 10 people that you talk to, ask them questions. Try to ask them as question as non-biased as possible, basically, because that's what you need in the beginning. You need to be, even if it's bad, you need people to tell you, you know what, this is very bad. I'm not going to use it right now, because that's the thing, right? But they can give you very good feedback about their problems of the day. Again, it's all about the problems in the beginning. What problems are they facing? Step two, build a lean MVP with extremely condensed functionality. Very lean, very simple. We'll talk about it after. Step three is no code solution. And step four, get feedback and launch quickly. That's what I'm going to talk about it right now. So step one, validate your market. When we're talking about validating our market, I'm going to give you some personal examples. I believe and I find that when I talk with founders and I talk with people that want to create companies, the best examples you can give is from your own personal history. So in the beginning, when I was just me and my co-founder, basically Ervis, we tried to validate our market, and our market is very stubborn market, basically. So physicians don't want to change, they don't want to pay for new solutions. So it was a very big problem in the beginning. How to find people to talk to, not clients, people to talk to, because you need to talk to physicians, family physicians in our case, and they're very busy in Canadian market. They are very busy because they have a lot of patients to meet. So what happened was, I talked with one of the professors at my university, and I said, "Prof," I said, "please help us find a family physician. We really need to figure out that this idea that we have, which was, by the way, it was completely different from the beginning that what we have right now. Same problem that we wanted to solve, different solution, right? With different idea. So we went to the family physician, which was the professor's brother-in-law or something like that. Brother-in-law, I'm pretty sure. And we talked with him. And what happened was he didn't like the idea at all, and he hated it basically. But as going back to the Morteza's point, he just liked us as founders. He loved me and Ervis because we're so ambitious, we're young, and whatever for a lot of reasons, right? And he said, you know what, I'm gonna help you guys. So he helped us figure out and guide a little bit about how the healthcare system works in general and how it works for family physicians and what regulators they basically obey to and how much money they spend during the day. So we did that again, that customer discovery, those interviews that are very important in the beginning, and we asked the right questions. Uh, After that, what he did was even better than that. He actually gave us numbers of three more physicians. So we went to go to three more physicians and we did the same thing with them and they loved us again. And then after that, we opened up and based on these four first interviews that we had, now it was so much more easier because we knew what to ask the doctors. We knew the the problems. We had an idea of the solution, but we knew what to ask. We became somehow a semi-expert of the industry, right? It's very important to become an expert of your obsession with this problem, or expert of your industry, right? So we talked and we figured out and we made it to 200 physicians customer discovery phase. 200 physicians. We started from having no idea on what we're going to do, and we went to 200 physicians, 85% conversion rate when we built the MVP, etc., etc. We had a very successful customer discovery phase and a market validation phase. And one of these physicians actually even joined our team, Dr. Puria. He became our chief medical officer later on. But like this is how you create a relationship. It's all about discussion. It's all about the human portion of things. So my professor of this professor, the University of Toronto professor, which is a very good mentor of mine, and it is actually the reason why I built the content for the series. He always told me in the beginning, just look out, just get out of the house, get out of the classroom, and go ask people. Find any way possible to ask people. One of my friends, he created a educational ed tech company. It's called ACID, Jay. If, shout out to Jay if he's listening. He'll listen afterwards probably. But I remember I saw him on Instagram the other day, and he was interviewing people in the street about his educational platform that he's building, and he's interviewing students. Right? He just went to University of Toronto. He went to Toronto Metropolitan University. He went to University of Waterloo, and he just interviewed people and got as much feedback on the street, got as much feedback as he could, and he built the actual platform based on that feedback, and he was successful. He pivoted once. He pivoted very heavily once, but he became successful with this with the second platform that he built. Step two: build a lead MVP with extremely condensed functionality. The lead startup. I know you guys have heard of it. I'm pretty sure if you haven't heard of it, it's a good book. I recommend it usually, especially if you have no idea how to build an MVP or how to build a very robust and very simple product. I'd really suggest Eric Rice, Lily Startup. There are also other books that I can recommend. There is a book called Build Your MVP. It's actually that's the name of the book. I forgot the author, but it's a very good book to search on Google after. But yeah, like building a lead MVP, it's crucial in the beginning, as I said. I know maybe it's not gonna look as amazing or you're gonna hate it. Even you might hate it, right? But it's very important because in the beginning you need to keep your finances as low as possible. You don't have money in the beginning, basically. So either hire or not hire, sorry, either partner with a co-founder who is a CTO if you don't know how to code yourself, and try to build it as simple as possible, or either I don't know, try to build it yourself with. I'm going to talk about it after. No code solutions. We'll basically this slide here, but we'll speak about it after. These are some good ways you can build an idea of an MVP. Maybe not an actual MVP, but an idea. It's that's why these tools came into market to help us figure out and build those diagrams and build those MVPs. So I'm giving you some examples from other startups that started this, maybe basically started the companies with very lean startup model. And this is for you. There are two startups here. I don't know if you guys can see them very clearly or can see their logos. And I don't know. Maybe you guys should Try to guess it if you can guess which one is the left and which one is the right startup. No, not Airbnb. Okay, I'm gonna save you guys some time. On left it's Dropbox. That's the first. That's the first. Yeah, Dropbox and Uber. Bravo, Silas. That's good. Silas. That's very good. And on left it's Dropbox, and on the right it's Uber. Imagine how simple they were in the beginning. It's insane, actually. They had zero, very low functionality. And I was listening to a podcast episode of the founder of Uber, and the guy said that he didn't have money in the beginning, right? So they just tried to focus on a problem that they really thought it was so bad that they had to find a solution to it. And that was they were tired of the taxi systems, and they needed to build something that it was more reliable, it came on time. In the I think in the beginning was just the Bay Area, the San Francisco area, and they were like very small minded about it. They were like, you know what, we're gonna build this for ourselves, basically for the for the Bay Area, and that's it. But it became very big, and that's where it started. Like that's actually not the first MVP. That was more than just an MVP. This is the prototypes phase, but still it was very lean and very easy to build. And the Dropbox just very simple too, in the same logic. And to continue, we can go by this a lot. You can find actually on Google a lot of this first MVPs, startups MVPs. Uh, but again, going back to my personal history of solutions, doTERRA's MVP actually failed twice. We made mistakes. As I said at the beginning, we wasted some time following the wrong solution to this problem. So this is the first MVP of ours. Very beautiful, huh? Beautiful, like in the sense of for an MVP. I mean, it was pretty good, right? But as you see here, the buttons and the features are so condensed. There are a lot of features there, and it turned out that most of these features just they sucked. They didn't have any actual functions or any actual uh, I don't know relevance in life of the doctors or of the physicians. So they hated this solution that we created, and it's so hard. Like I mean it. It's so hard to hear the words the physicians or the customers say to you when they hate something and they don't use it, because they pity you, right? They're like, oh yeah, this is a beautiful product, this is a beautiful MVP. We'll never pay for this, right? And that hurts you. That hurts you as a startup because you're waiting for the money to come. So this was this is part of the MVP. Actually, this is the second MVP that we built. We just built the video call because Docera in the beginning was just a telemedicine startup. We started as a telemedicine company. It failed again. It failed not for because physicians didn't like it this time, but because the market was not the right one. In Canada, when we started, just a law passed by that said that all the doctors, basically all the physicians, are not paid, especially family physicians. They don't get paid if they see, or they get paid very small amounts if they see a patient by telemedicine, so through video app. So that was a big problem. And you have to understand that when you're building your startup, when you're building your project or your platform, I know that I said that the market validation is very important. And when you do the market validation, you should understand also very deeply and very detailed where is the money coming from and where is it going at. So doctors in this case, for example, doctors, physicians, if they would use the telemedicine app that docera was creating, even though it was very advanced with 3D and with, I don't know, augmented reality incorporated into it, in Canada, in the Canadian reality, when we started, uh, they had to pay for it, and they don't have any, but any benefit financially whatsoever. Even though it was cool, even though they loved it, they had to use spend money and not gain any money back. Now, again, in consumer apps, like I don't know, social media or a lot of other consumer apps, maybe that might be true. Like when you spend some money and you don't maybe necessarily get any money back. But when you are so targeted, B2B, I don't know, enterprise software, even healthcare at some point, right? Uh, all these startups that are created in these industries, you have to think about also where the money comes from and where it goes, because because it's a financial decision in the end of the day. People think about financial decisions. It's a lot of money. The platform itself, most probably that you are building, most probably is good. You're going to charge a lot of money for it. So it's not easy for the customer to make a decision based on this, right? So figure out all of this stuff. And this was the MVP that we built. This is not the MVP. There was a prototype actually of the third iteration that we had. If you want to see the MVP of our third iteration, please let me know, or the platform that we have right now. Please let me know on the chat, or shoot me an email at lucalaba3@gmail.com. I have it on my pitch deck here, but also LinkedIn. I'm very open. Please follow me, Instagram, wherever you guys want. Shoot me a text, Lucas, send me your MVP. I'll send you the MVP and you can check it out. So, as you see, this is the prototype. I just wanted to show you how much it changed from just being like I don't know, a telemedicine startup to going more into the dashboard style, if you might like it to say it like that. And even after that, even more incorporating AI into the workflow of the physicians. So the whole point of this, and the whole point of today's presentation, is actually to tell you that don't obsess too much about how your MVP is going to look like. We failed. I failed twice at least, right? And maybe I'm going to fail again. Who knows? Like market change, industry changes, right? So it's not going to be the same for forever, right? It's not going to be the same as we started. Maybe even physicians idea or problems change too, right? So you have to figure out to first of all create urgency, build it fast. We'll talk about it a little bit, like in a bit. I think the fourth step, which is launch quickly, build it fast, build it right now, as low functionality as you can. Launch it, get feedback, understand the problems, come back, iterate, build again, launch it again, build again, and launch it again. That's basically your job as a founder. It's not as glamorous as people say. It's a very dirty job in the sense you have to do the dirty things at the beginning. You have to go manually, maybe even walking sometimes at the physician or at the customer, in physician in our case, and the customer, and say to them, I had, for example, experiences when the physician told me, get this kid out of my door, go out of my clinic. You have to take it, and then you have to build again before you go home. You have to understand. You have to talk to your partner. What happened? What went wrong? What went right? Right. So it's a lot of work internally on building the platform. Right. So that was my take on the iteration or building quickly and building a lean startup. I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions about this, but please save it for later so we can I can answer everything after. Focus. This guy here, Steve Jobs, was very famous for focusing. And he has this famous quote where he says, people think focus means saying yes to the things you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. Now, I I know I'm confusing you a little bit, but I'm going back on the first step when I said validate your market. That's when you understand what idea you should go on, right? You pick the idea, and you focus on that. You don't do 1,000 things at the same time. You build one feature, you build one small thing at the beginning, and then you start scaling maybe in the future and building other stuff, like Apple did, right? Apple started with a MacBook, and then with a Mac, sorry, not MacBook, Mac, and then went from computers to iPods to iPhones to tab to iPads, etc., etc. Right? So it's just start with something niche, one some simple thing, the moment that you have some validation that people like that one simple thing, and you build it and you make some money out of it, that's when you start scaling and you build other stuff, right? So I know it's a long journey. It sounds like a long journey, but actually this interactions happen in a very fast time, in months, maybe even in weeks sometimes, right? That's where you gotta focus on. That's why you have to focus on one thing and one thing only in the beginning. Step three, no code solutions. There are some very good platforms out there. One of them is Bravo. Bravo, it was pretty good. I tried it myself just for fun to create a side hustle project that for I remember it was for school, and you know it's a good it was a good platform. uh, Again, has some challenges, has some technical problems. It's not the best, it's not perfect, but it was pretty good to start, right? So if you have no idea what to do, no code solutions, I would guess, would be the best position for you. And what I would suggest too, what I've seen from other people, it's Figma. Figma, it's pretty good for MVPs. Again, you have to create something low functionality. Even just design sometime can help, right? At least raising some money, or at least finding the early customers to get those details. And look for initiatives. Look for initiatives in your countries, in your cities. For example, I remember, because I lived in Niagara region for a while. I remember that the municipality of Niagara Falls here in Canada was trying to create something very interesting. So Niagara Falls is a very big tourist attraction. It's a worldwide tourist attraction. People from the whole world come in the summer, especially, to see the falls. So near the falls, they created something called a startup park. So where you apply, and if you get accepted, you go there, and for a whole 3 months of this during the summer, you have a booth in which and tourists that come, they stop at you, and they look at the platform or the innovation that you created, and they give feedback to the municipality. And every tourist that comes into your booth, it gets recorded by a third party that is going to be there, basically from the municipality of Niagara Falls. And in the end of the summer, they give you the numbers. So, for example, if in your booth you have like 20,000 visitors, and like you had, I don't know, I'm just making up numbers, 90% conversion rate, 90% of the people loved it, you can show that to the investors, you can show that to the other customers, right? So look for these initiatives. I believe a lot of cities have these initiatives, especially if you live in a smaller city. They have these initiatives for startups to help them grow and to help them create that validation in the beginning. Step four, and the last step that we have, get feedback and launch quickly. Get the initial feedback. Initial feedback is very important, and the initial feedback, it doesn't have to come from an MVP at all. You can just start from the discussions, the people that you talk to, the people that you call about the problem, or the first not users, the first potential users of your startup, of your platform. Get feedback from them, understand their problems, go in discussions, go in deep discussions, like you're talking to a friend, because they will be your friends, they will be your biggest fans in the beginning, right? uh, Treat your fans, quote unquote, treat your fans uh, as they deserve to be, because as they deserve to be treated, because they will be there for you since from the day one, and hopefully if you become successful, they'll be there for you till the end, right? So make them take pride in it, basically. That's kind of like my point. So when you have those discussions, I had a friend, another friend of mine. She was building something in biotech, uh, something that has to do with people that have uh, problems with. I think it was called. I think it was Alzheimer's, and she had discussions with the parents of the parents of the kids of all older generation of people that have Alzheimer's, and especially the kids which lived with them. They gave a lot of problems that people with when they have Alzheimer's they experience. It's a very bad disease, right? But what she got from that was actually nothing that they said. She made up a point on a word that one of the kids of when His father had Alzheimer's. So she found a word that he said. From that word, she actually asked for another for another meeting with the father, and she asked for that specific word. What did it mean for him? And father said spent 30 minutes talking only about that word. I don't remember the word, to be honest with you, but it was so interesting because exactly in this moment that they found out what to build. So basically, uh, try to figure out what your customers, what the people that you are dealing with, the potential customers, what the people that you're dealing with, people that you're having conversation, try to understand what they say. You have to be a little bit of psychologist in the situation. You have to understand the facial expressions. You have to write everything down. It's very important. I've done this very well. Again, if you have any questions, please ask me a lot of questions about this, and also an email after. I'll love to talk to you more about it. So, maintaining and improving your MVP. This is basically my last one of my last points. Keeping up with changes and customer demand is pretty very important, especially in the beginning. Uh, Prioritize features, very important. As I said, just focus in one specific one specific feature. Iterate regularly. You have to iterate. You have to iterate all the time. You have to pivot. Metrics and analytics. You have to find out what metrics work for you. A lot of people, the metrics that work, it's how much time, uh, I don't know, customers or people that are using your product spend on a specific feature. What do they feel about it? What do they like about it? And then at the other, when you build actual prototype or an actual platform, that's when you say, you know what, how many people paid, how many people just like dropped off, what is the churn, what is the LTVs, CAC, everything like that. So that's when you ask the hard questions. But in the beginning, keep it simple, keep it very simple. And one of the best advice that a lot of YC founders gave to me were Y Combinator founders were, uh, try to keep and write down all the metrics. You figure out the metrics, but try to write it down for every day, basically every day, and know your numbers. That's very important. Do things that don't scale. Another great advice from Y Combinator. Now, for people that don't know, sorry that I didn't mention it before. Y Combinator is a incubator in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley. I love what they build and I love their content. They you should check it out, and actually you should apply to them if you have an idea. You don't need an actual startup or an actual platform. You can just start with an idea, and they a lot of startups came out of it. Uber, Airbnb, uh, not Uber, sorry, DoorDash, Airbnb, Reddit, basically the best startups that came in Silicon Valley after 2010, after 2008. So that's where you have to. They are the best of the best, basically. And one of the best advice that they have is do things that don't scale. Basically, in the beginning, try to focus on a specific region, specific geographic location, specific niche, specific target customer. Try to be very specific in the beginning and understand the problems. The moment that you understand very well the problems, then you can start to scale. It's very important in the beginning to do things that don't scale. Another experience of mine, which we had with another founder, uh, the founder was in healthcare, and he had $250,000 in revenue ARR first year of the startup. Very good, very well startup. 250K in healthcare, it's a lot of money, believe me. And he went to zero the next year, to zero revenue, because he scaled very quickly. He couldn't control, and he got very confused about a lot of information that he was getting based on different geographic locations, based on different type of targets, based on different type of physicians. So he didn't scale he scaled very badly. So that's why in the beginning you do things that don't scale. You understand very well. You become an expert on that specific problem that you're solving, and then you can go on and scale wherever you want. That the scaling part, as I said, I just mentioned it right now, and in the end, get the money. Money is very important. There are people that give their platform for free, which is good in the beginning at least. Just you have to figure out that moment when you convert it into a paid product. The paid products are the most important things, and I guess uh, it's if people don't pay for your product or for a platform, then 100% you should iterate. And the reason how do you know that they will pay or not? Unfortunately, it's a hard question, but you have to ask them directly. Like, what do you like about this? Do you, what do you don't like about this? And would you pay for this? How much would you pay for this? Right? Or give them a better thing yet is just give them a value like, okay, we're charging $5,000 for this, and if they say no, that means that your startup is not valued that much. Again, not just one customer, maybe a lot of customers will say no. If they say a lot of customers say no, then that's when you the moment that you say, you know what, maybe we should charge less. But if they say, you know what, that's good, go for it in the beginning and then charge as much as you can after. And that's a good validation for your startup too. If someone pays, for example, $1 for your product a month, that's okay, that's good. I mean, it's more like a non-profit at that point. But if they pay $20,000 a month, $200,000 a month, that's when you're saying, you know what, this is an amazing solution that we came up with. So these are some things and tricks that you can figure out about your validation process of your startup. Okay, this slide I don't know why it's like this, but let's make the ideas happen. That's a very important thing, and it's actually the most important thing. Uh, when you have ideas, start by getting obsessed with the problem. That's that's the most crucial process in your journey. Uh, be obsessed with the problem. Focus in one feature, one idea only. From focusing to that, then you can build the MVP. And the moment that you build the MVP, we'll talk about it the next series, the next episode about how to get actual clients, like actual paying clients. We'll talk about it the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. I don't have the funds to build an MVP as it requires infrastructure or resources to showcase to our customers. Do we have any financial aid to support this? Very good question. As I said in the beginning, uh, depending on your industry, I would love to talk to you more about it. But depending on your industry, 80% of the cases you don't need a lot of money to build an MVP. As I said, you can start just by a Google form. So find ways to keep it as lean as possible. And what I mean by this is just build what you envision through designs, through no-code solutions, through everything that you can actually build build what you can actually, I don't know, try to show to people. And for that, the best exercise that I saw about this was an exercise by a professor called Tina Seelig from Stanford University. She made her and if you wanna if you wanna read her book, it's an amazing book called What I Should Have Known When I Was 20. It's an amazing book. And basically what she told her students at Stanford, she was like, you have zero money, you have 10, sorry, you have $10. You have $10. You have to build a solution based on this $10 in 1 week. Next week, whoever wins gets financial support, gets 100 something like $1,000 or something like that to build the actual thing. And the winner uh, built some kind of a drone. They were a guy and a girl, very deep tech focused, very engineering geniuses basically, and they built a drone from like I don't know, it was like very cheap products, and that was unbelievable. They built a drone. They got 15 people to try it. It was proof functional in just 1 week, and with just $10. Now, I'm not saying that you should build a drone, but I'm saying that you can find a way to make it as easy as possible. Financial aid, You should have some financial aid. The best way to get some financial aid, to get some money from in the beginning, especially, it's through pitch competitions. If you are a student, if you are young, but even if you're not young, you can just apply for you can just apply for pitch competitions in your region, in your area. Maybe they give you like $500, $1,000, $2,000. Get everything that you can and win those pitch competitions. And in order to win the pitch competitions, you need to be a very good storyteller. You need to understand your problem very well. So start by validating your market first. Start by getting some customer discovery, and then think about building the MVP. Thank you for the question. Next question is: at this point, you didn't have any MVP, and it was only talking to physicians. Wow, that's a very that's a very good question. Yes, I was just talking to physicians at this point. It's I had no actual I had no actual MVP. I actually plan how to build an MVP. I just had a team, which was me and my co-founder basically, and we just had the problem. Basically, we had the problem. We were very obsessed with the problem. It came from a personal family reason, and that's what the physicians loved the most because I was very uh, well knowledge. Again, not the best in the world, but I was knowledgeable about this specific problem, and they love that. They love that, and they love that it came from an actual point that they could relate to me because it was from my mom. My mom was the one that burned out as a physician. So yeah, in the beginning, you don't need an MVP. You need just people to talk to. Thank you for the question. Another question for Martez actually: should I charge my customer on MVP level or our service should be free? If you try, you can try it out. I think depending on how many people you have to try it. Like if you have 100 customers that you want to try your MVP, try it with three of them, which are the ones that are, by your point of view, the most probable to pay. If they pay for your MVP, then it means you have an amazing product coming up. You have an amazing product coming up. If they don't pay, don't get discouraged. Give it for free and get feedback. Listen to them a lot. The moment that you listen to them a lot and you actually execute on those feedback that you get, then you can actually build the platform that they will pay for, or the MVP that they will pay for, right? So, but anyways, I still think that you should try it out and try to charge them. Uh, how much you think that will be charged? If they say no, no worries, just continue what you're doing. Thank you. Uh, I sell it to the NHS. It's a real challenge with incredibly long sales cycles and bureaucracy. Is it the same in Canada? Do you have any tips for overcoming these obstacles? Yes. Yeah, it actually worse in Canada. It's very worse. It's much worse in Canada. I had a, I had a discussion just for your own sake right now, just for because you mentioned it, and I have a lot of I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of concerns and a lot of problems. Friends of mine and me, we talk about this all the time. And specifically in my case, very bureaucratic industry as healthcare, and very bureaucratic industry as hospitals, which is crazy. I had a meeting with the director of a hospital. I'm not saying the name of it, and he told me that I was talking about Dolce in the beginning. I'm saying, hey, I'm building this thing, blah blah blah. Can we sell to you? Can Do you want to use it? Basically, and he was saying that yeah, we would love to use it. It's an amazing product. It would save doctors a lot of time. It would make us a lot of money, etc., etc. So we we tried, and I said, you know what? Let's do it then. How much time it needs for you to implement this in your hospital? And he said, Luca, this might take a lot of years. And I said, how many years? He said, 3 years. He said, no more. 7 years, I said, no more. He answered me and he said 15 years. 15 years to implement the platform in the hospital. That's insane for a startup, right? So going back to your question, overcoming the obstacles, build relationships. Build very good relationships. I think that's the only thing that you can do. And building relationships that will help you in the long term. This is very similar to a B2B enterprise sale, right? Like you don't have a lot of choices. You just have some customers, maybe, or in one case, just one customer that you have to disrupt, or you have to create, and try to not spend a lot of money on pilots, and try to not spend a lot of money on producing the platform, but create the relationships, build the relationships at the beginning, because the relationships can make your process and can make your journey a little bit more smoother. In our case, we did the same thing with another hospital. I created very good relationships with the people that work there in the hospital. They helped us do a pilot for free, for in just 4 to 6 months, something like that, and we did it very successfully. So build relationships with people, figure out any way possible that you can build those relationships. In my case, was I was a student, and I reached out to them as a student, and yeah, that's was a one way. Try to find those loopholes in the system, right, and figure out those loopholes. Thank you for the questions. Any other question? Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat there is there's a question about not a question, but was a statement about the mob test. Amazing book to read. Actually, I had it planned to talk a little bit about it. When I read the mob test was maybe not like something that I was shocked. I knew it before, but when I read it, it was factual. Like, okay, this makes sense. That's why I did it like this, because this makes sense. It talks about how you should ask your customers, how you should ask people, when they are validating your market. And the best thing about this is that it shows you with specific examples what you should ask your potential customers. The question should be very easy to understand. You shouldn't talk a lot. You should talk as simple as little as possible, and you should listen a lot and take notes. And some of the questions are, for example, what problems do you have in your day to day? Can you be more specific about your problems? Who are paying for these problems to solve? What solutions do you have right now? So nothing about what you're trying to build. Don't mention what you're trying to build, because the moment that you mention what you're trying to build, people get biased. People want to make you feel happy. They'll be like, you know what? Oh yeah, that's cool. That's good. And when you go back after you build your MVP, and you go back the other month or after 2 months, and say, you know what? I built the MVP. Would you pay it right now for this? They'll be like, I really don't need this, right? So you don't need those kind of people. You need that uh, people that actually are not biased about your platform. Read the book, The Bomb Test, amazing book to read. You can find it for free on Google. Uh, okay, another question. What has Microsoft Startup helped you with? What are the benefits? That's a good question. I talked a little bit of before, but uh, for example, us personally, it was more about the cloud. We had to use our cloud to train our model, and it was free. That's a lot. That's a lot to give to a startup. I mean, uh, imagine you had to pay like we had to pay like $5,000 maybe per month or even more to you to train our model. But through Azure, we got that we got that basically for free, and we trained our model. We tried. We became successful with that model, or basically we became successful building that model. That's one of the benefits that we had. The other benefit is actually asking industry experts. One of them being Bruno. He helped, and they helped us a lot with, especially the technical capabilities of our startup, understanding how we can build it better and what tech stack we need to use, because this was first thing for us, right? We never built this before. What tech stack, what are the tech requirements, and everything like that, how to document. So they help us a lot with that kind of like educational part portion of building the startup from a tech point of view. And the third thing, which is the most important, is also a lot of benefits with other platforms, LinkedIn, I don't know, OpenAI, and much more platform, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, like everything basically, which we did it for free. It's for a period of time, of course. You have to do a lot of stuff like that you can in order to renew those, but it's worth it. It's worth it because it helped out a lot with without spending money and saving as much money as possible and building an actual lead startup. Anyways, thank you so much for today, guys. It was a pleasure to be with you. Please come to the next episode. It's an amazing episode because we'll talk only business. We'll talk about sales. and register as with Microsoft Reactor. If you have any questions, please let me know. Reach out to me in LinkedIn, email, or Instagram. Thank you so much and have a great day.